Dum. You have something that I want.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
This is the way.
Hello everyone, LEGO Star Wars fans, as well as LEGO enthusiasts and brickheads collectors. Today I'm going to show you set number 75317, the Mandalorian and the child brickheads. The way that LEGO translates popular characters from franchises like DC or the Marvel Universe or Star Wars even into these brickheads is they basically abstractify the shapes of the heads of the characters, and this works especially well with the helmet of the Mandalorian, as you can see. But I'll get to that in a moment. This is a rather unusual, but not incredibly uncommon way of including a smaller character as well as a larger character in a brickheads collection, or a pair basically. Usually though the price is $14.99 instead of $19.99, but that is not due to inflation, but due to the fact that LEGO included this little, I'd like to call it space stroller, little container that Baby Yoda is hovering in, to celebrate the release of the first episode of the second season of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. I'm going to show you these two brickheads in detail. First up is the Mandalorian himself, a figure of increasing popularity and an incredibly beloved character, and of course the protagonist of the show. The way that his visor is built is actually rather intriguing, but partly predictable, but it uses a not incredibly unconventional technique, but a very intriguing one at that. You basically have enough space within these 1x2 bracket pieces to put two studs within them, not a plate with the length of two studs, because this already is the length of a plate of two studs, but actually just two studs themselves, and that's exactly what LEGO is doing right there. So they use that piece, which is a 2x2 piece, which is two plates high. Well, here it's 2 plates high. There we are. And you just push it in there, and its mirrored counterpart as well. I personally think that the inclusion of this piece is a very wise decision, but it's very commonly used in the construction of brickheads. It's a 2x2 with only 2x2 plate, basically half tile and half plate. The printing is, it's supposed to be a little off, as you can see on the instructions. It's not supposed to basically, the print is not supposed to reach the, basically the end of that piece. However, it is actually printed that way, so it certainly reaches the very edge of that piece, which I personally think is a far more seamless transition from this to this, which is just is a rather modern piece, a 2x2, basically cut in half, and we have these 1x1 tiles, which are rounded and were originally used for watermelon or pizza slices, but have been used in architecture and brickheads especially ever since then. We have some now widely spread rounded pieces, 1x2 rounded pieces, these slopes. What's also laudable is this piece. It's this 1x2 cheese slope, and actually has a print. It's this very nice azure bluish colour. As far as I know, the weapon which he's carrying on the back is actually called an Amban rifle, and This is the weapon that would cause disintegrations, as Lord Vader referred to it, to the effects of this rather deadly weapon used by bounty hunters, it seems, and by more than one Mandalorian, it seems, as well. So it basically uses this huge gun piece and from Lego Star Wars, and a lightsaber hilt. It's also gleaming very nicely. That's always it's a great aspect of these new lightsabers. They're not chrome, of course, but still they have a very pleasing shine to them. And on top we have this claw piece, usually used for robots and so on. This is actually attached to a clip which is on top of this piece, 1x2 with rounded edges and holes. Inside we have these grill pieces, 1x2 tile grill pieces used for the back of this helmet. Overall, the look that Lego achieved here is absolutely accurate and incredibly delightful. Very, very laudable. I don't think I can really criticize anything about this minifigure, but the printing. But again, the inventive use of the binoculars, as part of the belt is, for instance, incredible. I hope we'll actually see a Mandalorian brickhead, and especially a Mandalorian minifig with Beskar armor in the upcoming €30 or dollar set in 2021. I will, however, not deny it that, of course, most consumers are intrigued by Baby Yoda primarily, and I think, at least subconsciously, this is the case. Baby Yoda has an incredibly simplistic design, actually, and compared to the Mandalorian, the shapes that Lego had to represent here are far less challenging, but they certainly faced the challenge of the transportation. It's not a genuine vehicle. It's just a little, how would you call it? It's just a transportation device. Let's call it that. That the child is using in order to levitate, in order to hover above the ground. Of course, the child is colloquially called Baby Yoda. Of course, it is not Yoda, just of the same species, because it was born. I don't think it was born after Yoda died, but around that time. The brickhead itself is, as I have already mentioned, a very, very simple build. It just uses a few of the SNOT techniques that the Mandalorian also uses. It's got these rather new 2x3 tiles in nougat, and they have been used before in this colour. There's nothing exclusive there. There is no exclusive printing. In contrast to the Mandalorian, we are actually able to see Baby Yoda's eyes, at least, which have the standard brickheads print, just these 1x1 flat studs. And the child uses sand green. The building techniques are, of course, not incredibly advanced, but I don't think you'd expect more from Baby Yoda. However, let's call it this small transportation device here, is very well built. This is actually what you start with in the building instructions, and it uses these quarter dome pieces at the back to achieve the curved shape, as well as these very large pieces usually used for Lego city constructions, but also very commonly in other themes, as well. This is certainly not their first appearance in Star Wars. They do help achieve the shape again. They are using these formerly pizza watermelon slice pieces. In this, it is not cold yellow and not yellow. It's between orange and yellow, this colour is. And this is also certainly not its first appearance. But it is also a colour that I think is, well, it's certainly close to the colour that Baby Yoda's space stroller does have. The shaping is well achieved, using a bunch of 1x2 slopes and 2x3 slopes. It's not their only use in this set. They also appear on the Mandalorian, in black especially, for his cape. But here, you also have these 1x4 pieces with this little, basically it's a portion of a stick protruding from the one end of the 1x4 plate. And it's just very nicely integrated just to represent detail. Behind it is just enough space to squeeze in a T-slope as well as a stud with a sideways construction technique. And there's a bunch of jumpers in there to put Baby Yoda safely in there without him falling out of there. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope you've also enjoyed, if you've already watched it, the first episode of the second season of The Mandalorian. May the Force be with you, because this is certainly the way.